Putting out up front.
Good morning. It's 9 a.m., Monday, March 14th, 2022. This is the Muscatine County Board of Supervisors. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First is to review the agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Santos. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is public hearing on the proposed FY 22-23 Muscatine County budget. We are in a public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to comment? Seeing no one.
Move to close.
Okay, and I'll second.
Motion by Santos, second by Jeff to close the public hearing. It's a roll call vote. Santos?
Aye.
I vote aye. Jeff?
Aye.
The public hearing is closed. Motion passes. Next is discussion and possible action to approve a resolution 03-14-2201, approval of elected officials fiscal year 22-23 salaries.
Move to approval.
Second it.
Motion by Jeff, second by Santos. This is a roll call vote as well. Jeff?
Aye.
I vote aye. Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is resolution 03-14-2202, adopting the fiscal year 22-23 county budget.
I'll move to approve.
Make a motion. I'll second it. Oh, sorry.
All right, motion by Jeff, second by Santos. This is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
I vote aye. Santos?
I vote aye. I did have a question.
Okay.
Sherry, can you share with us, is this, when we talked about the low rate, is this adopting of this physical budget, did we actually have the levy on this portion of it, what we talked about last time, as far as, 73 cents?
Are you talking about the levy rate, or are
Yes.
you talking about the island levy?
The levy
Right.
rate, the levy rate.
Yes, this next year's budget. that
So this
begins
will be the
July
2020
1 will
okay.
have a reduction, yes.
And can you tell me what was the total amount for that?
Let me look.
Okay. I was gonna ask about this
Taylor,
before the
unless you
meeting.
have- Unless you have it memorized, I don't have it memorized.
I think it was, I'm either thinking 68 cents or my 73 cents.
73.
Okay.
Reduction,
Okay,
total levy rate, total, if you live in the rural area, $9.85. Urban rate, $6.86.
okay, I just wanna make sure I get that into the minutes for what it was, cause I know that is a big positive change for us in the county, and I just wanted to comment on that, so,
Okay,
thank you.
let's see.
So you're on the roll call vote, I apologize. I vote aye.
I vote
Whoa,
aye.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
We already did.
We already did that.
Okay, my bad.
We're through it.
Yeah, you already
Yep,
voted on
we
that.
already did that.
I just,
Yeah.
And
I had the
what
question, I wanted to get
yep.
that, that's all.
And then, but I haven't said motion passes, and that's where we're at right now, am I correct? Okay, didn't wanna lose my place. Next is public hearing on proposed amendments to the fiscal year 21-22 Muscatine County budget.
This is a public hearing.
We're
Okay.
in a public hearing.
Kayla, are you gonna go through this?
I am.
Alright.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you all have the full detail packets, so I'm just gonna go through a couple of the high points. We'll start with the jail. They brought in around $680,000 in additional revenue, and that was from inmate and transport reimbursements. We also adjusted both expenditures and revenues for the commissary fund due to there being more activity than expected. The Board of Health has received a few COVID grants, so we added those in there and adjusted both revenues and expenditures, making those a pass-through. There were some salary and benefit adjustments, the largest being in the auditor's office due to there being a retirement and hiring a replacement and there being some overlap there. And then also in conservation and general services, and that was due to hiring a cabin custodian and groundskeeper. And the largest expenditure amendment we're doing is $2.6 million in the mental health region payout. And that's due to this, the mental health region transitioning to the state. And so that's an estimated amount of what we're gonna have left on hand when we make that transition in the next couple of months.
So that will pay out, the Fund 10 balance will transfer then to the regional coffers and as part of that pool. Okay,
And we estimated that number, so depending on activity.
We may have to
tried
do a-
estimate it a little high, but we may have to.
we may have another adjustment we have to make, yeah.
So in summary, we have a net decrease of around 2.7 million, with the bulk of that being the mental health region. And that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion by Santos,
Second.
by Nathan. This is a roll call vote. Santos?
Aye.
I vote aye. Nathan?
Aye.
And Jeff?
Aye.
Motion passes. Discussion and possible action to approve resolution 03142203, amending the fiscal year 21-22 budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Santos. This is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
I vote aye. Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is resolution 03142204, fiscal year 21-22 budget appropriations.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Santos. This is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Nathan? I vote aye. Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 5 is items with county engineer Keith White. Morning, Keith.
Good morning.
First up is discussion and possible action to approve resolution 142205, authorizing weight embargoes on secondary roads in Muscatine County. You got anything to add to that?
Well, this is our every year
Yeah.
motion that we're doing, sometimes around this time of the year, sometimes a little earlier. With the warm weather of this week and probably next week, we might be in need to embargo some roads, so that's why we have it out there. I will say, they've been looking pretty good so far, and the weather's been a little bit different. But there's still, I would say, a likelihood that there'll be some that we need to embargo, so.
Yeah,
I'll move the approval.
Things got really greasy yesterday afternoon, I can assure you of that. I've got a motion by Jeff, second by Nathan. This is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
I vote aye, and Santos?
Aye.
Motion passes. Discussion of possible action to approve various utility permits.
Yes, we have, 3 today. And the first is from Mid-American Energy of Des Moines, Iowa, and they are wanting to relocate a fiber optic cable on Holly Avenue, basically to get out of the way of our culvert project. And the next 2 are from Windstream Communications of Little Rock, Arkansas. And the first installs an underground copper cable on 132nd from house 2498 to house 2522. And the second is an underground copper cable along Buchanan Street from Ocean Avenue east to 6th Street in the unincorporated town of Monmouth.
I'll make a motion to approve all those 3.
Second.
Motion by Santos, second by Nathan. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Project updates, Keith?
171st Street out by the steel mill did get closed last week. The grading contractor has dropped trees, which, to deal with the potential Indiana bat roosting, they have to come down before April 1. And they've begun paving removal, and then we expect the box, and that's DeLong was the sub there, and then Jim Schroeder Construction, who's the sub on the box culvert, is planning to move in this week and start the box culvert.
I would have thought after the weekend, nothing from Indiana would dare show its face in Iowa.
That would be nice if it worked out right.
Oh.
And then our York Avenue Bridge, even though though we have a late start date of July 1, that's also road construction, that they're thinking they won't be here until September. And which means they'll be burning 2.5 months of working days, but you know, the DOT assigns them so generously anymore that I think they feel they can afford to do that.
It's York Avenue, you said?
York Avenue,
Okay.
just south of Old Six, south of F58. Our pavement marking contractor said they plan to be here late spring and be done by the end of June. There's no change in that. Our microsurfacing Fort Dodge asphalt, they haven't given us any answers yet on what they're thinking. And same way with Pelling on the seal coat, they haven't responded on their schedule. And then the culverts 22 project, pipe culverts throughout the county, which is Peterson contractors that do have the contract documents back and ready for signature, and we'll get them right back to them, because they will have to drop any bat roosting trees prior to then, prior to April 1. And we'll be on them to do that, otherwise we'll have to hire a bat expert to look for bats. Not making a joke, so. That's why we try and get them down. Matter of fact, well, I'm guessing the trees will come down one way or the other. It's a cheaper alternative. That's kind of it on projects. Pending any questions?
Keith, on the email that you sent out on the 245th Street, was that just
Yes.
basically indicating that the bridge is not considered a historical bridge? Is that the way I gathered it, or?
That's what I was indicating.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, nothing we checked says that it is, doesn't mean that it couldn't be. Any structure over 50 years old, we have to evaluate for historic, which is usually an email to SHPO, and they say, yeah, it is, yeah, it isn't. It could be, and then I noted there, it doesn't really change anything if it is.
And that's good, I didn't understand. I mean, I think at one time, I wasn't sure if, I believe Doug mentioned that he might have done some work on that back in 40 plus years back, I guess. I'm not sure.
Exactly, and,
So-
you know, I don't get a say whether it is or isn't, but the fact is, and in the records, I see 81, I see 85. Either one of those is less than 50 years ago. A lot of it was redone, which normally would make it not historic, because what's there is in fact not over 50 years old. But again, it's not my determination. If it ever became an issue on replacement, they'd decide that. And you know, the worst case is you either pay to photograph the thing and document it, or we write a check to ourselves, to the Historic Commission, to get rid of it, or you just let it end its own life on its own.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Anything other?
Yeah, I have, unfortunately, I have several other things. Attended the County Engineers Exec Board meeting via Zoom that was at ISAC, but I was one of the ones that zoomed in, or actually they used GoToMeeting. And several things. Let's talk about the federal highway bill. The DOT, you know, we've heard 25–30%. The DOT's telling us that there's only 13.5% more money in that bill for roads. You know, there's lots of money there for lots of things that aren't roads and bridges. So they were saying, don't expect a whole lot more money once and the DOT stated they thought they had this thing figured out, but now they think it'll be April before they get any real clarity on this transportation bill. DOT noted that there was no growth in the bridge fund, none. Now, what's available to the counties might grow, cause the county's input was, we'd like to see more money into the bridge area, so they might be able to shift some other funds there. And then I just wanna note that this kind of brought forth, one of the county engineers said they just let a bridge, I think it was in the size of the York Avenue Bridge that we're paying about $554. It's gonna cost them $850, 40% over their estimate. Another county chipped in that they'd let some boxes, which we like our boxes too, 50% over their estimate. Heard lots of 30%, so here to tell you, if we get a few extra crumbs or dimes, it's all gone already. It's with contractors we feel are just protecting them. But besides, we've already reached capacity.
Sure they are.
They're protecting themselves from the price of fuel, the price of materials that is going through the roof, so. We may be doing less, not more, because of cost. Back to the funding, what does this mean for Region 9? We don't know yet. Got our two bi-state members here. And while they were talking, I was texting with the Scott County engineer, our other bi-state member who wasn't down in Des Moines either. We think it's likely that we'll go back to all the old rules. And that means a lot of things. It means it'll go back to just federal aid routes, which means like the long roof thing will go away. That's not something we're doing, but it looks like the bill's going to drive it there. And the other thing that the DOT announced is SWAP is ending. That might curl your hair a little bit. Their reason is they don't have enough dollars to swap with us. So anything after January 1, 23, swap is done. So on our program where we have a lot of projects programmed to swap, I don't know if they'll be entirely new project numbers or just the word swap will come out of the project name, but swap is ending. I'm slightly confused because if I have a billfold here full of $20 bills and Jeff says he wants to swap and he says, I'll hand you my 20 and I hand him a 20, I'm not real sure why they can't swap, but that's purely a little bit of speculation on my part of what all is driving that. But the answer they say is they don't have enough money to swap. And they did cite that like 175 million was swapped out since it started or something, so.
Is there any chance that the federal government's finally just become too much of a pain to work with and they want to jettison that whole package?
I think that's a chance. I mean, I just,
Yeah, I suppose.
I just feel something more than dollars that play there.
Do we know how many of the MPOs elected not to swap?
I believe two. I believe the Quad Cities elected, the MPO elected not to swap, and certainly the one that Johnson County is in. Johnson County elected not to swap.
Do we know across the regions, how, that's pretty much in the state, all you
I
get?
think it's pretty much it, statewide. So,
I just try to sense where the political pressure may be coming.
well, exactly. I don't know, it's been interesting. I will say that when this all started and, you know, the DOT gets the federal money and they are charged with being the watchdog of the federal dollars and what we do. And we were hearing out of them, we're gonna get more and more out of your business, but that never came to pass, so. You know, good news is we had already decided because of inability to spend some other dollars to do a couple of our bridges local dollars and not swap, so. Guess we were ahead of the game and didn't even know it, so. That's all I can say there. And I think that's everything, but that was a lot of news in that meeting, and more to come. I'll report it when I know it.
Okay.
That to me sounds like that all adds up to a really big impact on what we're able to do as a county. Is that fair to say?
It's hard to say. I mean, as far as the cost, that's gonna be a big impact. There's no doubt.
Yeah, we believe, you believe, I think you've said that you thought swap bought us about 20% to maybe more, buying capacity. And then if we have a 50% price increase or 30 to 50%, and then we lose that 20% buying capacity, we just took a 70% increase in cost. Which means the only thing that could possibly means is we're gonna get less work done. We just aren't gonna be able to get the work
The
done.
only good news is, that's not a huge portion of our money. That's the only good news. I mean, we do have here the local option sales tax. We do have property tax. We do have part of the road fund that comes here. Speaking of local option sales tax, I haven't seen anything new, but there is the bill out there for the state to take it all and give a good chunk of it to the DNR and not really saying how much of Muscatine County's and the city's local option would ever come back to you.
Yeah.
So hopefully that does not fly. Or that will be a huge impact.
That's about what, 1.7 million a year to you?
Well, it's getting up towards $2 million.
Yeah, that's a big hit, just,
Yeah,
if you say, do you use that, you don't use that for maintenance, property tax does maintenance dollars, right?
right.
That's just work, that's just construction.
Yep.
Yeah, $2 million of construction, that's a lot of bridges.
It is.
And what's the usage that those dollars gonna be with the DNR? Just had to
Who
throw that
knows?
out there.
I mean, I don't know
The Iowa
who,
bet.
I don't know who dreams these things up. That's all I can say. I did one other area which Santos already touched on. So 245th did go down and take a look. It was not suitable for travel at this point for a van ride. A lot of water standing. I didn't forward to you, but I sure can. Had some pictures from 18 and 16 just looking down there, and you see nothing but water. I mean, that's all you see. I mean, the one you don't even see the bridge because it's underwater, and that was taken like a month after the peak of the flood. And that's what that road in most years has multiple months out of the year as it's underwater. You can't expect any road to perform well like that, and particularly when it gets lower and they drive through it, tear it up. So we did not do anything at this point. If it dries up, we will attempt to shuttle some rock to the other side with a tonner, but right now, like I said, well, I can't say today, we had a little warmer weather, but it was not good. But we have looked at it, and there's no question that the email and the pictures they sent, that's what it looks like. There's no question. I don't think you ought to go down there and drive through it at this point, but if it dries up a little bit, then you can see what it looks like.
Keith, what kind of criteria do we use for assessing whether to make a road a Class B?
That's a board action, and I
Sure.
can't tell you what was done in this county way back when. I really believe in the original days, Class B was sold somewhat as a liability type thing. And that resulted in anywhere from most counties taking their dirt roads and putting that, you know, didn't get plowed in the winter, and they weren't really passable, but typically when the farmers wanted to use them in the spring and the fall, they were, you know, dirt road if it's dry, it can be a pretty nice road. But some counties took every mile that they had nobody living on and made it a class B, and then they maintained it like an A anyway. But, it's really just a board action to make it a level B. Of course, Edgewater is level B, but 245th is not.
But if I understand correctly, between the bridge and Edgewater on 245,
Yes,
there are no residences, is that right?
that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And I guess I should further add, we did hear from at least one member of the public that thought spending, that supposedly was a former property owner down there, and supposedly was told by the county years ago that we weren't gonna be really maintaining that,
Mm-hmm.
and they were really, thought they might be here today. They were rather adamantly mad that we would consider spending a nickel down there. So there are people on that side.
Yeah, there's no homes there, nor is there any agricultural
Yeah,
ground there.
it looks all bare or just all swamp.
It's all swamp, and, you know, frankly, the roadway sets level with or maybe slightly below the swamp.
Yeah, as you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, I wonder what the river level has to be to go over that road, because it's flat as a tabletop down
It's
that
just gotta
bottom.
get out of its banks, so.
Yeah, and I don't know what that takes
Just-
there.
13 point something, just when it hits flood stage, you're gonna start having water. First, the lower spots in this road, which have always, in all my time, have always been lower spots, they're gonna go under,
Yeah,
but not the whole thing. I can't tell you for sure what it's gotta be for the whole, you know, for the entirety to be under. But I'm gonna guess, I've said in here before that Kurt Weiss told me when I came, you know, that Cedar, if it didn't flood in the spring, it was gonna flood in June, you know, and, you know, I think there's been 1 year in my time here that it didn't flood. And that was a year that the bridge inspectors, instead of having to have divers, could actually walk to the, you know, all the piers on the big long bridges were exposed except for one where the little bit of flow, and they could go probe and we didn't have to pay for divers. So probably most every year
Yeah.
it's underwater.
yeah. Okay,
That's all I have.
all right, very good. Thank you, Keith. Next is discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the March 7th, 2022 regular meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Santos, second by Jeff. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Correspondence, Jeff, you have any
Nothing
correspondence?
to note.
Nathan?
Oh, a couple things. Had some more stuff about the bridge, down on 245th. Jim Barry gave us some information on the, changes to the compensation board, I believe. And yeah, that was it.
Okay. I had one call from a county resident, down towards Let's Way, in regard to the county doing some brush cleaning and tree removal and so on there in the ditch, and he was not pleased that there was, some limbwood and some logs that were left in that ditch. I believe he told me it was approximately 3 weeks ago when that sawing had taken place. And I told him, I said, well, it's been my experience throughout these endeavors that many cases, anybody that wanted to pick that wood up and I've seen it happen numerous times. They'll go in there with saws and saw that up and haul that out of there and use it for firewood, for their own use is what I've seen. And, I said, to him, I said, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you don't see that take place in that environment as well. Is that a typical, finding on your behalf, Keith? That the county residents will, whatever limbwood and trunks that might be left in that ditch or didn't burn, that some of the county residents will go in there and salvage that for firewood for themselves?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. I will, not even knowing the specific location, there's been a lot of large stuff along paved roads cut this year, and some of it they've logged up into pretty nice, large firewood chunks, some they haven't. And so I would agree with them, there are pieces out there that, you know, sometimes we burn, so they could slow down and log it more, or they can slow down and burn it, or we can stay like this. But I have noticed a lot out there, but a lot of it, people come and it goes. You know,
Right.
They know that it's free to take, but there's a lot out there this year.
Yeah, and that's what I've seen throughout the county in all my travels is, the county residents will, see that 90% of the work has been done on this, and they go in there and saw a little bit more, whatever they saw, and load it up, and away they go. So I told this gentleman, I said, just be patient, I said, maybe the need for some of the county residents will have that taken care of, and we'll see how that goes. But that's all I had on that. As far as, of course, thanks for your input, Keith. On correspondence, Santos, you have anything?
I had the same emails that we had on 245th Street from Keith and from Jim Barry on the compensation board. I also had an email from our trails group in regards to, one of the discussions is we had Mark Yerington from MPW come in, and we're working on updating the layers to kind of show off-road trails that we have in the county. And so he just started adding the layers for off the road, which I didn't even know there was trails out like down in Salisbury and stuff. And then share the road too, so he was updating that. I also had two different conversations from restaurants here locally that had reached out to me, and I really don't think I could guide them too much more, but it was just, I think they were just venting a little bit in their frustration in regards to, you know, their food costs are going up 30 to 40%. You know, they said their chicken for just making their meals is just going through the roof, and they said that they're seeing it everywhere, you know, and their struggle and their frustration is that they know that, you know, it really hasn't hit the farmer yet, but they know that there's either price gouging or there's some sort of, you know, lack of you know, enforcement, I think, is their frustration, because they said, like, how do you regulate stuff like that? And I was like, I didn't know the answer to it. I told them I really didn't know. I said that's but they said that it's the little guys that they feel that are getting the challenge with that, because now they're looking at how they cut costs, or, you know, on top of not having enough people, you know, that just multiplies it for them. So I didn't know the answer. I still don't know the answer, I guess, but I was just sharing that frustration that they were having with me. And then on Friday we had I don't know if it would be meeting, but I guess the audit that we had with state auditor as well too.
Yeah.
I think we all had that, I think, at different times, but
Yeah, some Thursday, some are Friday, I think.
that's all I had. Thank
So
you.
they had, how about any committee reports, Santos?
Nope.
I had none, Nathan?
Yeah, I was saving that for the auditor thing for committee, but I did not have any others.
Jeff?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Next is items with the administration office, discussion and possible action to reappoint Emily Gertz to the Muscatine County Zoning Board of Adjustments for a 5-year term ending March 31st, 2027.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Santos. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Just thank
Opposed?
Emily, it's an important position.
Yep.
Absolutely. Next is discussion and possible action to approve a revised Mississippi Valley Workforce Area Chief Elected Official Shared Liability Agreement.
The revision was in your packet. I guess the version you got doesn't have highlighted. Essentially, the changes were, they changed the chair position from a 2-year position to elected annually. And then the other change has language in there about attending meetings. They're gonna send a notice to the chair at the end of every year about how many meetings that county's rep has attended, and if they miss an X number of meetings, then they get replaced.
Okay. And that was, so that, when you say the chair, you're taking the chief lead official?
Yeah.
Not that, it's not like the Dennis Duke,
No, it's like Jack.
Jack, okay. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Nathan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
So Nathan, do I take it by the, putting language in to remove or ask a county to replace their rep, as we still have one county that's hit and miss on the perform?
Well, and it might be me, cause when I was out for, there was definitely one or two, but
No.
when I was out for, my back injury, I missed a couple, so.
I doubt it's you, I know there's one of the counties that's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
never ever been to any meetings, so.
Yeah. But,
Okay.
and then there's been, I think the issue is we have so many meetings, we've got the CEO meetings, we've got the committee
Finance
meetings.
committee
and
meetings.
Yeah, and then there's the meetings where we don't have any votes, and so I think, I've had to really step lively to get my head around how many meetings we have and which one is which, and so I would
Yep.
imagine that, other folks are doing the same, so I've asked, and they have sent out like a calendar of all meetings, so that, 'cause I feel like for a while we were getting meetings scheduled a week in advance, which, I think that was just because of the necessity of the situation. That's not on anybody, but I think it's gonna help. We're gonna up our attendance.
Well, it's like any of these groups, you have hit and miss. I know when I was on that board, we had one of the counties that just, the rep just never attended, just
And
period.
the bigger the group, the spotty.
Well, the challenge is particularly in elected official, we're responsible for those dollars, and there are a lot of things where your county is, ultimately our county is liable, and if your elected official's not there and in that case, when we were going through the reorganization, it was causing a lot of problems because we couldn't get the paperwork signed, we couldn't get it done, because they weren't showing up and knowing what they needed to be doing, but, okay. Good enough.
All right, very good. Next is discussion and possible action to adopt a revised jail commissionary expenditure policy.
So this is a policy that was originally adopted in 2018. It, at the request of the state auditors, it outlines what jail commissary dollars can be spent on. We kind of had gotten away from paying much attention to that. And so Sherry and I brought it up to Quinn about the fact that we did have a policy. We took a look at it and made some revisions, removed some things like the old version had transfer general funds transfer to the general fund to cover costs of a COPS grant deputy, which we don't have anymore. So we removed the things that were no longer relevant and
Just some good housekeeping.
tried to encompass what the funds are being spent for. And so we're asking the board to approve this revised policy, and then our intent going forward would be that we would review this every year at budget time and determine if,
And audit expenditures to this policy.
Yep.
Okay, I'll move the approval.
Yeah. I had a question still on it. So when you say the commissary, when they're saying commissary, I think in my mind as far as like what the inmates used to buy for food, right?
they buy a variety of
Variety of
things,
things,
yes.
whatever they need.
Yep.
So when you look at the list of what it has, it talks about like replacement of vehicles and investigation vehicles and things of that nature, and how does that fall into commissary.
That's
and-
completely a board decision. That item has been in there for, I think probably since it was originally adopted.
Cause all the other stuff, I guess I can understand, but I didn't understand why the replacement of administration vehicles would fall into that, or investigation vehicles. But you're saying that that's what they can use the funds for as
Yes.
far as the jail goes?
Yep, they've been
Just
able
allowable use of the funds, and, you know, they become fairly significant funds in the
Yes.
sheriff's budget, so.
And I get,
He just recently funded the whole shower retrofit thing that we had talked about using capital projects dollars for. He was able to fund that entire thing with commissary funds.
And it doesn't say that you will use these funds for that, it's that you can.
You can.
yeah, and I think that's why I was reviewing that. I just didn't understand how that fall into it, and I wanted to make sure I was grasping what the
And-
policy was entailing.
And I will say that they do use those dollars to replace administrative and investigation vehicles. I mean, it's typically, in a typical year, we replace 1 or 2 vehicles with those funds, so it is used that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
it just gives you a broad range of things that you can utilize this for, and I think it's correct in the sense of the appropriate items that it can be spent on to have that listed.
Well, and by having a policy in place that's reviewed and approved by the board, it puts some control on what those dollars are being spent for, which our state auditors certainly like.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, I'll second the motion.
Okay, I got a motion by Jeff, a second by Santos, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Anything else, Nancy?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Next is receive information from county employees. Do we have any county employees that would like to address the board on any issue? Seeing none. Do I have anyone from the public that would like to speak in regard to anything not on the agenda? Not seeing anyone moving forward. It is 9:42 and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.